So when I was editing last week's Sephora recommendations video, I realized there were a few products I totally forgot to talk about because I ran out of them and they just weren't in front of me. So today I'm gonna share the products I forgot to talk about, but also I'll share a whole list of my runner-ups, you know, products I really like at Sephora, and I'll share why I like them, but also why they weren't quite good enough to make the A-list. And if you're new here, hey, I'm Kate. I'm a huge beauty lover, but I like to look at beauty products through a little bit more of a critical lens, both to help you save money and make more informed choices, and also to help myself maintain more of a minimal collection for a YouTuber. If that sounds good, I hope you'll subscribe and let's get started. The first product I immediately regretted not talking about is Ellis Brooklyn Sun Fruit. I just completely forgot about it because this is a little mini that came in a Discovery set and I forgot to look at my minis. But this is actually my favorite fragrance from Ellis Brooklyn. I'm wearing it right now, and even though it's a kind of fruity, slightly tropical coconutty scent that really works best for spring and summer, I still think it works in the fall and winter time as well. You know, beauty has no rules. So this came in a Discovery set, but you can get a travel size for $32, or I believe they're full size for around $110. And the website says tan lines, bare skin, and sun-warmed florals. Sun fruit is unapologetically heady, brazen, and rich. And the notes are fresh fig, bergamot, plum leaves, and pear. Mid notes are hand-picked jasmine, cyclamen, orris, and orange blossom. And the dry notes are amber, vanilla, musks, and coconut. The primary notes I smell are fig, coconut, some kind of like tropical florals, and pear. It's making my mouth water. There's something like sour to this and tart that I just love. And the funny thing is I actually really didn't like this when I first tried it because I was imagining sun fruit in my head as this kind of like juicy, hot perfume, kind of like DS and Durga Debaser, but this one's different. It's not quite as warm and juicy and fruity as Debaser. It's really more well-rounded because it's balanced out by those tropical florals, and the fruity notes in here aren't super synthetic. They smell like real fruit. I think it works as a year-round scent because it is balanced out by the amber, the vanilla, and the musk. So I just think this is absolutely beautiful. I can't believe I forgot to talk about it. The next product, I was kicking myself for not talking about, are the Bare Minerals Blonzers. Bare Minerals was sold. They were like discontinuing a lot of their products. They're doing a whole revamp of the brand. For some reason, I just thought these were discontinued, and I believe they're limited edition anyways, but I saw that they are still available on the Sephora website, so I had to include them. These are $25 each, and I have the shades Kiss of Rose and Kiss of Pink. Kiss of Rose is the darkest shade, and it's this incredible reddish, burnt terracotta shade with a lot of gold sheen throughout it. It looks like sunburnt skin. With this one, I do have to have a very light hand because it's super pigmented, and I think it's intended for deeper skin, but anyone can use it and it looks great. I don't find that the shimmer emphasizes any texture. I can skip highlighter if I really want to build it up. It's just my perfect summertime blush to fake a sun-kissed kind of look. A more recent purchase was the shade Kiss of Pink, which is a really beautiful light pink shade with what appears to me to be pink shimmer, whereas Kiss of Rose has gold shimmer. And the shimmer particles are not visible on the face. I'm wearing both shades mixed on my face today to see how that would look. So you can see you just get a really glowy cheek, but it doesn't look overly highlightery. I don't think the marketing is accurate for these. I would not use these as a bronzer. I get what they're going for. They were saying that like you can use it on your cheeks, your nose, your forehead, but you can use that with any blush, but it's not gonna mimic the look of a bronzer, especially not Kiss of Pink for my skin. Don't go into it expecting to be able to use it as a blush and a bronzer. I would really just think of it as a beautiful blush. So in my last video, I totally forgot to talk about all body and hair care, so I'm gonna catch up on that today. The body care product I've fallen in love with is the Josie Maran Whipped Argan Pro Retinol Body Butter. It's so juicy. It leaves the skin really dewy and beautiful. And though it's a body butter, it has a super spreadable texture. Sometimes with body butters, they're a little too thick and heavy, and then you're like spending so much time rubbing them in. Not with this one. The unscented one kind of just smells like a little funky. So I purchased the vanilla one, and it's so much better. It's really not that fragranced. It basically is just vanilla-y enough to mask the scent of the original product. The marketing for this is a little off. It says pro retinol, but there's no retinol in here. I think it's just bakuchiol, and I think that's a little bit misleading for consumers, but it doesn't bother me because I just love this product so much. It makes me want to apply body lotion, and it's super hydrating without being sticky or heavy. Oh, I just looked it up. I don't know if it's bakuchiol. They actually say that it's pink algae extract, which is a pro retinol that helps reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. Yeah, I think that's misleading, but it also has quercetin, which is an antioxidant, and it has argan oil. This one I only purchased during the Sephora sale because it's $46, which is pretty expensive for a body product. My second favorite is the Josie Maran Argan Apothecary Intensive Daily Repair Body Butter, also $46. This one has argan oil as well, and it has aloe leaf juice that's soothing and antioxidant rich, and it has an ingredient that I can never pronounce, colloidal oatmeal. Colloidal oatmeal. I got it. Which is really helpful for eczema. I haven't opened this one yet because John and I are sharing a container. He is obsessed with this. He buys these in bulk. He goes through 2 of these a month. I'm not even kidding. So in comparison, the texture of this one is a lot richer, a lot more thick, much more suited to the wintertime. It doesn't have any kind of scent, so great for sensitive skin or sensitive noses. Because it's thicker and more rich than the other one, I just don't prefer this as much because you do have to take more time to work it in. But if you have chronically dry skin or you have eczema like John does, I would definitely recommend this one. A product I've been recommending and using for years is the Laneige Cream Skin Toner. I ran out of my full-size bottle, which is why I forgot to talk about it, but I just went through my drawers and found this in a little travel bag. This is basically a moisturizing toner, but it also could be used on oily skin as a liquid moisturizer. It truly is just like layering a liquid moisturizer. I like to use the 7 skin method with this, where I apply 7 layers and I just have the most beautiful, plump, hydrated, juicy skin. A full-size bottle is $33, and it also comes in a mist if you prefer that as well. They also have these tiny little minis that I found on Yes Style, so highly recommend these for travel. So the next product I purposefully left out of my favorites video, but I take it back, and it needs to be in there. I've thought about it for a few days. It's the Farmacy Honey Halo Ceramide Moisturizer. So the moisturizer I've been reaching for the most lately has been the Youth to the People Polypeptide 121 cream. I really like that because not only is it hydrating and moisturizing, but it also has some peptides that help promote firmness in the skin. I just felt like at night, I just reached for the Youth to the People moisturizer more than I was reaching for this. But last week I finished a full-size jar of this, and in the week since then, I have really missed it in my routine, and it really surprised me. It doesn't really do much. Like, I tend to like my moisturizers to be packed full of different ingredients and antioxidants, fatty acids, humectants, peptides, ceramides, but this serves a specific function. It's really soothing on my skin, and what I like about it is that it sets down to a satin finish. You know, I can use it in the morning when my skin's just feeling really dry, really irritated, and it looks great under makeup because even though it's super thick and rich, it sets down to that satin finish. So there isn't like a bunch of dewiness that's gonna make me look oily. And at night, if my skin's really irritated, this is the moisturizer that I reach for. The Tatcha Serum and Cream treatment is what I use when my skin is really irritated or really dehydrated. But that's such an expensive product that a lot of times what I'll do is I'll use the Honey Halo from Farmacy, and then I'll put a little bit of the Tatcha Serum and Cream treatment on places where I need it on top, just so that I'm not going through the Tatcha so aggressively. So this contains buckwheat honey with propolis and royal jelly blend, which provides long-lasting moisture and antioxidants while soothing and hydrating. It also has a very subtle natural honey scent that I just adore. It also has fig fruit extract and osmolytes that bind and restore moisture, leaving skin looking plump and supple. And it has a potent ceramide blend that prevents moisture loss and replenishes the skin barrier. The only thing is this tiny, tiny little travel size is $25. The standard jar is $48 and the value size is $78. So it just always feels really expensive for what it is. It's just a really soothing, simple moisturizer. I really, really miss this one, and it deserves to be on the A-list. The last product on the A-list that I regret leaving off is the Oribe Dry Texture Spray. This is a mini size. I think maybe $25 to $30, you know, so Oribe is really expensive. This is by far my favorite hair care product of all time, and it's also my favorite dry texture spray. The scent is really lovely without being overpowering. It provides texture and a little bit of grip and grit to my hair while still leaving it feeling soft and supple and flexible. Every other texture spray I've tried either leaves my hair feeling a little bit too crispy or doesn't really do anything, or sometimes they leave my hair feeling really gritty and really like weighed down and oily. This one is just perfect. It does everything I want it to do. It's just that I had a reservation about putting on the list because it is so expensive for a texture spray. It's $49, let's call it $50. I mean, $50 for a texture spray when I use up the full-size bottle in 2 months is really expensive. So lately I've been reaching for more affordable options, one of which I will share next. But frankly, as I've been thinking about it, they just are not the same and they don't perform as well as Oribe. It's expensive, but it's amazing. I just love it. All right, now let's get into the runner-ups, my B-list Sephora favorites. This is the Verb Volume Dry Texture Spray. This is the one that I use when I want to save on my Oribe. It's like kind of my daily go-to texture spray. I filmed the B-roll for this video yesterday and I sprayed the Oribe on this side of my hair and the Verb on this side of my hair, splitting them on both sides of my hair. Really made me realize how good the Oribe was and why this one deserved to be on the B list, but not the A list. I realized it just made my hair feel a little bit crispy, but it's more than half the price of Oribe. It's only $20 for this bottle. It has a very subtle beachy scent that fades super fast, and it really does add volume and texture to my hair without making it feel really weighed down or gritty. It takes me a few extra sprays to get what Oribe would do for me in less sprays. But for those of you who are like me, who just like grimace at paying $49 for a texturizing spray, maybe try the Verb one. Just know that it's not as soft as the Oribe. My next B-list favorite is one that used to be on the A-list. This is the Paula's Choice Super Light Daily Wrinkle Defense SPF 30, and it used to be my everyday go-to sunscreen, but now my favorite is the Live Tinted sunscreen. I'll link a video on the screen above where I apply and review that sunscreen. It's just not available at Sephora, but you can get it at Ulta. But this is my favorite sunscreen for days when I'm gonna be on camera under these studio lights. This has an absolutely beautiful soft matte finish that doesn't feel dry or uncomfortable. It's a little bit tinted and it's the perfect shade match for me. If you have any skin darker than this, I would say it probably doesn't work for you because it is a mineral-based sunscreen. I think it has about 13% zinc. It also has bisabolol and willow bark that soothe the skin, and it has resveratrol, which is an antioxidant. If you're new here and you don't know much about me, my skin type is incredibly sensitive. I can't use chemical sunscreens at all. Every chemical sunscreen I've ever tried, including the best from Korean skincare brands, have irritated my skin over time. So sadly, I have to stick with mineral sunscreens, and a lot of them can be thick, they can be heavy, they can be drying, they can just be really greasy, and they generally don't look super flattering. All of the other mineral sunscreens I use are a lot glowier, so I can't use them on camera, but this is just absolutely perfect for helping to keep my oils at bay while I'm filming. This is a tiny little bottle that I got as, I think, a travel size on paulaschoice.com, but the full size is $37, and I purchased a backup during the Sephora sale. Let's talk Charlotte Tilbury. The eyeshadow I'm wearing today is the Pillow Talk palette. I love the colors in this palette, but the formula isn't my favorite. I'll show you the application footage. It has really beautiful sort of pinky mauve tones, soft, warm brown tones, and then some pinky champagne shimmers. They do look really beautiful on the eyes. I just find that the powders are a little bit dry. They have a lot of kickback. The matte brown is beautiful. I love the color, but really, I'm just so disappointed by the glitter topper in this. You'll see I tried to build it up as much as I possibly could, and it just barely shows up. If this palette had an epic glitter topper that was super impactful, I would put it in the A-list for sure. But since this is $53, which to me is expensive for an eyeshadow palette, I just don't think it deserves to be in the A-list because of that glitter topper, but I do use it all the time. I love the way it looks on my eyes today. I just skip the glitter topper and instead I'll reach for like ColourPop Ritz or something like that. Some of you may have been surprised that the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize did not make my A-list. That is simply because lately I've only been reaching for powder eyeshadows, and frankly, powders in general. I've been loving powder blushes. I have just been finding that in the colder winter months, and also as my skin is aging, I just find that my skin gets more dry and dehydrated, which means I'm layering a lot more hydrating products. I'm layering a lot richer, heavier creams. What happens then is cream blushes and cream eyeshadows crease and fade a lot more because of all of the skincare layering that I'm doing. So as much as I love my Eyes to Mesmerize, I just couldn't put them in my A-list this year because I've been reaching for more powders. But when I want a cream, it's absolutely the cream that I reach for. One that I've gone through 2 jars of is Oyster Pearl. It's one of the most beautiful, nuanced, sophisticated shades I've ever tried. It's kind of like a combination of an antiqued gold with a little bit of a champagne with something a little bit burnished and almost a tint of green to it. It's a little bit amorphous. It changes in different lights. Sometimes it looks warm, sometimes it looks cool. It's a shade that I really haven't been able to find replicated anywhere else. I've also been loving the shade Pillow Talk, which is a stunning pinky brown. That warmth really makes my eyes pop and adds dimension, so it's the perfect one and done shadow for me. And then when I want something a little bit more impactful, I'll reach for Exagger-Eyes, which is the formula that has a bunch of glitter in it. It's a peachy bronzy base with a whole bunch of silver glitter in there. I think it looks so good on the eyes. I do have to be careful though, because sometimes I want to get more and more glitter, so I keep layering and layering. But if you layer the Eyes to Mesmerize formula, it can crease really badly. But if you use a light hand, I find that the creasing is really minimal. These do just fade naturally throughout the day, but I feel like they fade in a way that looks sophisticated and lived in rather than messy, and I'm okay with that. One of my favorite lip liners is the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Pillow Talk. I actually almost purchased the shade Super Size Me during the Sephora sale because one of the recent stars of Love Island, what's her name? Sydney. Sydney, the redhead, wears Super Size Me all over her lips, and it's just like beautiful, bright, pinky coral shade, and I don't know, I might end up buying it because I don't have anything like it in my collection. I added this in the video at the last second, so I haven't filmed the B-roll. Let me just apply it. The reason this didn't make my A-list is because it's quite a waxy formula, which is great if you want to overline, because it almost adds like a thickness to your lips, but it's not super, super creamy. Like you apply it and it sets immediately. I do prefer lip liner formulas that are a little bit more blendable, like the Citizen Cosmetics, the Fit Glow lip liners, Tower 28, the Makeup Forever. So that's why this makes the B list, but it's super beautiful, incredibly long lasting. And I think the shade Pillow Talk on me is just a really beautiful, natural looking pink. I'm just gonna go in with the lipstick I was wearing, which was Beauty Pie You Sexy Thing. I like that the Lip Cheat and Pillow Talk just makes anything look a little bit more pink. I find it very romantic, a really beautiful shade. I might end up convincing myself that I need the shade Super Size Me, but TBD. Oh, and this is $24. Next up, I think the new Saie lip blurs deserve a spot here, even though I've only been using them for about a week, so I'm not like intimately familiar with the formula. I have the shades Dada and Modern. These are $24, and I would describe them as a creamy, highly pigmented matte lip formula. So if hi. Oh, baby. It was a hummingbird. Anyways, if you're looking for a lipstick that is super pigmented, really long lasting, but doesn't feel incredibly drying or like thick, heavy, waxy, has a little bit of creaminess to it, then I think these are a really nice option. I love the shade Dada, which is this kind of reddish, burnt terracotta shade, so perfect for fall. All you need is one swipe, press your lips together, and then blend the edges a little bit and you're good to go. And then the shade Modern, I think I would describe as a mauvey brown. Modern is very much like a cool girl shade. But strangely, I've been getting into more bold pigmented lips lately, and I was thinking about picking up another shade since they sent these two to me in PR. Uh-oh. I wouldn't buy these if you want something that's like super hydrating and moisturizing, but if you do want a lipstick that kind of has the appearance of a matte lipstick that's highly pigmented, but also creamy and relatively comfortable, then I think these are a great option. Speaking of Saie, another product I enjoy is their Dew Blushes. These are $25, and I have the shades Dreamy and Spicy. I would describe these as like a whipped gel mousse hybrid. I think they nailed the application of these. I love the doe foot applicator. If it were in like a pump bottle or a dropper or something like that, it definitely would be too messy. I find that you get a lot of great control with the applicator. The shade Dreamy is by far my favorite. It's the pinky berry jammy cheeks shade of my dreams. Beautiful when you're just wearing barely any makeup and you want like a flush of color on the face. I love it. I also have the shade Spicy, which is a burnt terracotta. Also a great shade, definitely year-round appropriate. But the reason these are on the B list is they're just extraordinarily dewy, and so I find that they can lift up my foundation a little bit. I don't know if you're gonna see in the application footage, but I had applied some Dreamy over a blemish, and when I applied it and blended it, it completely blended away the concealer that I had underneath. So it's the kind of product that I have to wear on no makeup days. I can never wear them when I'm under these studio lights. It would just look like my face was wet. So that's why you never see me talk about these on camera, but I do wear them a lot in my regular day-to-day life. You know, if I'm running errands, going to the grocery store, if I have a Zoom meeting and I just want to look like I have really nice juicy skincare on, then I'll reach for these. But this might be an A-list favorite for you if you have really dry, dehydrated skin, you love a kind of glossy, wet looking cheek, you like something that's really blendable with fingers, then I think you should definitely pick these up. Another B-list favorite is the Nécessaire Deodorant Gel. This is the fragrance-free option. I had been using the eucalyptus scent, but I just found that one was like way too herbal and musky. If it had been more of like a fresh, mint eucalyptus kind of scent, that probably would have made the A-list for me, because I do find that these are really effective because they have acids or AHAs that helps to kill bacteria, which causes odor. And I really like my deodorant to have a little bit of fragrance, but not too much. So the eucalyptus just didn't smell good enough to me, and the fragrance-free version just doesn't have any fragrance. So what I've been doing recently is I'll apply this one, the fragrance-free, and then I'll go in with a scented deodorant of my choice. I really like the Salt and Stone Santal, the Salt and Stone Bergamot, and the Kaya English Mint and Lime. And so I'll do 2 layers of deodorant. It's like a little bit annoying. So I just wish that Nécessaire would come out with a bergamot scent of this, or their sandalwood scent in the deodorant, and it would make the A-list for me. And this is $15, which I also think is a pretty good price for Nécessaire. Another product I really like is the Maison Margiela Replica Bubble Bath Perfume. This is just a little sample that I got. I had purchased a travel size for $32, but I recently sold it to an Instagram follower at a discount. I first bought this sample and then the subsequent travel size bottle at the beginning of my fragrance journey a couple years ago. And at that time, that was the best like cuddling, fresh, clean, soapy kind of scent that I had. But now I have other fragrances that I reach for more on a daily basis, and I just didn't find myself reaching for this, but I still really, really like it. I can smell it here and it's so good. So the website says, the relaxing memory of a me time moment in the bubbles of a hot scented bath. This clean and fresh eau de toilette captures the soothing sensation of a hot, okay, we get it, hot bath. It has coconut milk, soap bubble accord, white musks, and rose super essence. It smells exactly the way it's described. It smells like a bubble bath, but you can also smell that coconut milk, the rose, a little bit of that muskiness coming through. It's like spot on exactly the way that it's described. The one thing is, I found if I over apply this, it starts to smell metallic. So I can only apply like a very subtle dot of this, but when I do, it's like my favorite scent to wear at night. If you get out of a bath or a shower or something and you just kind of want to have a little bit of an aromatherapy moment, a tiny little dot of bubble bath for me is super comforting. And I'm glad that I sold my travel size because it wasn't getting any use, but I'm happy to have a tiny little sample here. And if you didn't know, I get my samples on Lucky Scent, fragrancesline.com, and scentsplit.com. My next B-list recommendation is the Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Baked Compact Highlighter. This is what I'm wearing on my cheeks today, and I will show you the application footage as well. I love that it matches my skin tone perfectly, so it isn't like a bright white or something too yellow or too dark on my skin. And it's very, very subtle. It's not gonna give you this blinding, glittery, shimmery kind of highlighter. It's a great highlighter for those of us who really prefer something just a little bit more skin-like. Now, the reason it made my B-list and not my A-list is twofold. One, I prefer my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. Nothing makes my skin look as good as that product. But on days when I want to powder, I do really love this. I just find that occasionally, if I apply too much, it can emphasize texture. Like there are times when I have some breakouts along my cheekbones, and what I find is, you can kind of see it right now, if I accidentally apply a little bit too much right here, it can start emphasizing pores. So I have to be very careful and make sure I only apply it here and I don't go any further than here. Whereas with my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, I can put that all over my face and it makes my skin look airbrushed. So for this one, I just have to be careful only to use this on the high points of my face where there's no texture, and then it looks absolutely beautiful and I love it. And this is $45. I've never been so much of a hair oil person because I have such thin, fine hair that gets easily weighed down, but I really do love the Moroccan oil treatment in light. I believe this is their standard bottle that they have for $34. They have a small size for $16 and a value size for $48. I love the smell of Moroccan oil products. I'm not like a fragranced hair product girl, but something about it just gets me going. My hairdresser recently told me that I had a lot of damage in my hair from years of bleaching it bright, bright blonde. So I'm back to a slightly warmer version of my natural color right now, and I'm actually about to go quite dark brown in a few weeks. And my hairstylist told me that I really need to start using oil in my hair and taking better care of it to help prevent against breakage. And this is just my favorite, but it's also the only oil that I've ever tried. So if you have any recommendations for a hair oil that is really good for thin hair, let me know if there's something you think's better than this. Last in the hair category, I have the Living Proof Full Shampoo. I love this so much that I bought a whole ass full-size value bottle. This is $65, but they have a standard size for $32. This, I don't notice doing anything special while I'm actively using it, but if I switch to something else, then I noticed the difference and I'm like, oh God, I gotta go back to my Living Proof. I will leave a link on the screen above where I did a sponsored post for Living Proof's full shampoo and conditioner, and I showed before and after results over the course of like 10 washes, and you can really see a dramatic difference in the quality of my hair. So I will let the results do the talking. This does seem to add a little bit of fullness while also making the quality of my hair better, and that's what I look for. Same vibe with the conditioner. This is the $32 bottle, and I really like it. It doesn't weigh my hair down too much, but it does seem to improve the condition of my hair a little bit. I love the Coolfy concealer. This is in the shade Ice Ice Berry. It's $26, and it's one of my favorite products to wear all over the face in place of foundation. I love using it for that, but I don't love using it as an under eye concealer. It is a medium finish concealer, and I just prefer something full coverage, like I'm wearing my Fit Glow today, which is my favorite full coverage concealer. This is the lightest shade, which is not that light, and I do know they're working on expanding the shade range because they only have 16 shades right now. I do also find though, I've been noticing that when I wear this, it's a little bit too dewy on my skin than I like. I really prefer some kind of base, whether it's foundation or all over concealer, that is a natural satin finish. I don't want something matte, I don't want something dewy. I have been noticing that though this is described as a natural finish, I think it leans a little bit on the dewy side. So I'm definitely gonna use this up because I think it looks beautiful in my everyday life. But when I wear this on camera, I notice that my oils start coming through more. This would definitely be an A-list pick for me if it had more full coverage and a better shade match for me, something a little bit more cool toned. I've really been enjoying the Milk Makeup Future Fluid Concealer in 8C, and I will link a video on the screen above where I did a showdown of Milk versus the new Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Concealer, and I picked Milk as the winner. This is $29. I like it. I think it's more of a medium coverage. I believe they say it's full coverage. It's not. I really like the finish of this. It's a kind of soft or satin matte formula, which I really prefer under my eyes. I just find that anything dewy or light reflecting under my eyes actually emphasizes the hollowness and the volume loss under my eyes. So this soft matte texture makes my under eyes look more flat, which is what I like. I don't find this to be drying or emphasize texture like a lot of other people have said, but I just find that it doesn't have the full coverage that it claims to be, and it fades really quickly. And I think it's because it doesn't have like a tacky, sticky, thicker texture, and that's what a long-lasting concealer texture would have. It's really soft, really blendable, and you're just naturally not gonna get something that's as long-lasting if you have a product that's more slippery and creamy on the skin. Furthermore, this applicator pisses me off. It doesn't give me enough product with this applicator. It's very hard and stiff and small, very strange choice. But this is what annoys me. The stopper is so narrow that then you get all this concealer gathered around the opening. So yeah, not a perfect product, which is why it's not on the A-list, but I do really like it. And the last product we have today are the Rare Beauty Stay Vulnerable Liquid Eyeshadows. I have the shades Nearly Neutral and Nearly Mauve. The only reason this didn't make the A-list is because, like I said previously, I've just been reaching for powder eyeshadows and eyeshadow palettes lately. That's just my preference right now, but if you want a matte liquid eyeshadow, these are like the best of the best. The formula is so good. These are highly pigmented, extremely blendable, very thin, and they set down and they last all day. And they're only $20. Like I just think that Rare Beauty is priced really well, although I haven't enjoyed a lot of their products. But I just think that these are fantastic. My favorite is obviously the shade Nearly Neutral. I would not describe it as neutral whatsoever. It's quite a warm brown. For me, that's great. I think it looks beautiful to kind of emphasize my eye color a little bit. I think this color would look great on everybody. I don't find myself really reaching for Nearly Mauve, but every time I look at the B-roll, I think that I need to start reaching for it again since I have been wearing more pinky shades on my eyes. Truly, 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 my only complaint about these eyeshadows is that the shade range is a little bizarre. It's all mauves, pinks, purples, peaches, like not colors I would personally gravitate towards on my eyes. If they launched a range of more natural, neutral, I don't want to say wearable because that's kind of a loaded term, but you know, some more like neutral or natural shades, I would definitely buy multiple of these because the formula is so fantastic. That's it. Those are all the products I totally forgot to talk about in my last video, as well as all of the runner-ups. If you like this video, I hope you'll subscribe for more content that looks at beauty through a somewhat critical lens. And wherever you are, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching.